You were loving me while I was busy loving someone else.
Now, it's too late, Karim.
Why this happened to me? Didn't I choose you when I had the chance? I was blind, and now I see. You are happy with him.
Karim spent years chasing the wrong woman, while the right one sat beside him, silently breaking. On the day she got married, he stood at the back, watching the woman who once loved him become someone else's forever. He only realized she was the one when it was too late to ever get her back.
Before we continue, if this story already has your heart racing, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who loves African stories, and don't forget to click the notification button so you never miss another emotional story from African Tales by Nandu Tales Studio.
Roro was the kind of girl that Lagos streets do not make often. She was not the loudest in the room, but she was the warmest. She grew up in Surulere, in a face me I face you compound, where mothers pounded yam in the evening and children chased each other under the orange glow of streetlights. She had a soft heart, a heart that felt everything too deeply, a heart that loved without measuring. And the problem with Roro was simple. She gave all of that big, warm, unmeasured heart to one man. One single man who never, not even for one day, understood what was sitting right in front of him. His name was Karim. And he was the kind of man that makes a woman question everything she was ever taught about love. Karim lived 2 streets away from Roro in Surulere. He was tall, light-skinned, and had a smile that could make a woman forget her own name. He worked at a printing shop on Adeniran Ogunsanya Street, and he dreamed big dreams every night, but woke up every morning doing the same small things. Roro had known him since secondary school at Community Grammar School Ojuelegba. She had watched him grow from a loud, troublesome boy who climbed mango trees without shoes into a man who wore cologne on Saturdays and talked about opening his own business one day. She had watched him so closely for so long that she knew the way he laughed before the joke even finished. She knew he liked his pepper soup without too much crayfish. She knew that when he was worried about something, he tapped his left foot on the floor without realizing it. She knew him, truly knew him. And still, she loved every version of him she had ever seen. But Karim did not see Roro the same way. To Karim, Roro was simply his good friend, a safe person, someone who listened, someone who helped, someone who would never go anywhere. And because he believed she would never go anywhere, he never stopped to think about what it would feel like if she did.
The woman Karim saw, the woman who made his heart behave like a drum during a masquerade festival, was Sonia. Sonia was everything that turned heads in Lagos. She wore Brazilian hair and walked like the ground owed her something. She sold provisions at a shop in Aguda and knew how to talk to men in a way that made them feel special, whether she meant it or not. Karim had met Sonia at a birthday party in 2015, and from that night, his whole soul shifted. He started spending money he did not have. He started dressing better on days he knew he would pass by her shop. He started telling Roro, his dear, patient, loving Roro, every detail of how much he felt for Sonia. And Roro would sit there, her hands folded in her lap, her face calm like still water, and she would listen. She would say, "Tell her how you feel, Karim." She would say, "She will like you. Just be yourself." And inside, deep inside where no one was looking, she was bleeding. Every kind word she said for Sonia was a small knife in her own chest. But she said them anyway because she loved Karim. And she thought that loving someone meant making them happy, even when it was destroying you. What she did not know yet, what none of them knew yet, was that love without courage is just silent suffering with a pretty name. Karim chased
Sonia for 2 full years. He sent her credit on her phone, he bought her Ankara fabric for Christmas, he fixed the generator at her mother's house in Itiri. He did everything a man does when he's trying to prove himself. And Sonia enjoyed every bit of it. She never fully said yes, but she never said no either. She kept Karim in that painful, confusing place between hope and heartbreak. And Karim stayed there willingly because he could not imagine leaving. Roro watched all of this happen. She watched Karim lose sleep. She watched him borrow money from his older brother to buy Sonia a birthday gift. She watched him become smaller and smaller every time Sonia was not available to take his call.
Sonia was not available to take his call. One evening, after Karim had spent 2 hours sitting on the bench outside Roro's compound, talking about how Sonia had not replied his message since morning, Roro looked at him and something inside her cracked. Not broke, not yet, but cracked. The way a wall cracks before it finally falls. She opened her mouth. She almost said it. She almost said, Karim, I am the one who loves you. I am right here. But she swallowed it back down. She swallowed it like bitter medicine. And she smiled. And she said, she will reply. Do not worry. And Karim looked at her with grateful eyes and said, Roro, you are the best friend a man can have. Those words, those exact words, they were the most painful thing anyone had ever said to her. And he said them like they were a gift.
3 years passed, the way Harmattan passes in Lagos. Fast and dry and leaving everything a little more cracked than before. By 2018, Sonia had moved on. Not with drama, not with a big announcement, just quietly, the way selfish people always live. A man named Josh had come into her life. Josh was an Abuja businessman who drove a Lexus SUV and wore watches that cost more than some people's rent. Sonia, who had kept Karim waiting and hoping and spending, looked at Josh and made up her mind in 30 days. 30 days! She gave Josh in 30 days what she had never given Karim in 2 years. A clear answer, yes. And just like that, by 2022, Sonia married Josh in a wedding at Harbour Point, Victoria Island, with a wedding cake that had 4 tiers and flowers that were imported from Ghana. Karim heard about the wedding from someone in the neighborhood. He did not attend. He sat in his room in Surulere that Saturday, listening to the sound of other people's happiness drifting through the window, and he felt something hollow open up inside his chest. He had given years of his life, years of his money, years of his emotional energy to a woman who had never chosen him. And now he had to sit alone with that truth and swallow it whole. But what happened to Roro during those years? While Karim was busy chasing Sonia, Roro had not been standing still. She had been quietly dealing with her own heart. A man named Benji had come into her world in 2019. Benji was not flashy. He was an electrical engineer who worked in Ikeja and came home every evening with grease on his hands and honesty in his eyes. He noticed Roro the way Karim never had. He noticed that she always touched the back of her neck when she was nervous. He noticed that she hummed old fella songs when she was cooking. He noticed that she deserved to be seen. And slowly, carefully, Benji made Roro feel something she had almost forgotten she was allowed to feel. Wanted. Roro tried to fight it at first. Her heart still had Karim's name written all over it. But love is a strange and stubborn thing. When someone truly sees you, truly chooses you every single day, it becomes very hard to keep saying no. By 2021, Roro and Benji were together. By 2022,
The same year Sonia was marrying Josh in Victoria Island, Roro was marrying Benji in a small, beautiful court wedding in Surulere with jollof rice and a live band and her mother crying tears that were completely full of joy. Karim had heard about Roro's wedding too. He had been invited. He came late, stood at the back, watched her dance with Benji and left before the cake was cut. Something about seeing Roro happy with someone else, something about the way Benji held her waist like she was the most precious thing in the world, made Karim's chest feel tight in a way he could not explain yet. He told himself it was nothing. He was wrong. By 2023, the full weight of every wrong choice Karim had ever made fell on him at once. His printing job had ended when the shop owner sold the property and moved abroad. He had tried to start his own business with a small loan, but without proper planning and with too much pride, it collapsed in less than 8 months. He was broke in a way that was not just about money. He was broke in his spirit. He moved back into his childhood room in his father's house and lay awake many nights staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of traffic on the road outside, doing the one thing that breaks a person faster than anything else, counting his regrets. Sonia was in Abuja with Josh, living in a house with a swimming pool, according to what he had seen on her Instagram. Roro was in a flat in Bagada with Benji, who had just been promoted at his company, and from what Karim could see, she was laughing more than he had ever seen her laugh. And Karim? Karim was alone. Completely, painfully, devastatingly alone. Not because the world had abandoned him, but because he had spent so long looking in the wrong direction that he had walked himself right into an empty room and closed the door from the inside. One quiet Tuesday evening in October 2023, Karim sat on the same bench outside his father's compound, the same kind of bench where he and Roro used to sit for hours when they were young. And it was there, in the silence of that ordinary evening, with the smell of suya from a nearby buka drifting through the air and children playing football in the distance, that it finally, completely, terribly hit him. Roro had loved him. Not liked him, not admired him from a distance, not been interested. Truly, deeply, completely loved him. She had been there through every embarrassing moment, every foolish mistake, every time he had talked about another woman to her face. She had stayed and she had loved him. And he had never once stopped to look at her the way she deserved to be looked at. He had been so busy running towards something that was never real that he had walked away from something that was more real than anything he had ever touched. He pressed his hand over his face and sat there in the dark for a long time. And the silence around him was loud with everything he had never said. There was no dramatic ending. No Roro running back. No second chance wrapped in a big moment. Just a man sitting alone with the truth. And the truth was this. The best thing he had ever been close to, he had never truly seen. And now it was gone. Not taken by force, not stolen cruelly, but simply gone. The way light goes when you forget to charge your phone. Quietly, completely, and entirely because of your own neglect.